Welcome back to the workbench. Well, today I'm actually on my kitchen floor because what I've got to show you is a little bit too big to fit in my workspace. Today I'm looking at the 1/72nd scale Armstrong Whitworth Whitley GR Mark 7 from Airfix. Before I get into the video, this was given to me by Airfix, and if you've seen my Christmas special, you know what I used it for. But because of the power and magic of editing, I'm actually recording this video before that one, so I don't actually know what I've made yet. But Airfix did provide this to me free of charge for the purposes of build and review, so a massive thank you to them. But I need to reiterate that all criticisms, concerns and queries are my own. I've not been paid to say anything in this video. So let's get into it. Hi, I'm Matt and you're watching Model Minutes. Before I start the video, a quick shout out to my patrons. A massive thank you to you for all the support you give me. To find out what patronage means and the perks it gets you, take a look at the links in the description. So today, a bigger kit than I'm used to, hence the change of location that we're doing this in. But looking at the box, there's a very interesting image on the front of the Whitley in a maritime patrol, and it's engaged with a German U-boat here. I quite like this, interesting because it's got all these little radar sort of dishes and aerials and antennas sticking out all over the aircraft, which is quite eye-catching. But down on this side of the box, it also gives you an indication that there is a second decal scheme included in the box. So this edge of the box gives us information about the actual Whitworth Whitley. It tells us that the model is 313 millimeters long by 356 and there are 187 pieces. The first decal scheme is for a Coastal Command aircraft in 1941 and the second one is for the British Overseas Aircraft Corporation in 1942. As is usual, you get a list of paint numbers that are required for both models and those that are required for each individual one. You get 3 flying hours with this model kit, so being a larger model you get more flying hours, and if you save them up you can redeem them against other kits in the Airfix range if you're a member of the club. It also tells us that it's a skill level 3, so this will be slightly harder than some of the other models I've featured on my channel to date. Flip over to the other side. And on this side we've got some computer rendered images from the design process, and it highlights the various details such as the ladder into the nose of the aircraft, the open doors and the turrets on the rear, and it looks to be quite well detailed just from the box artwork. Flipping the box over and we get health and safety information in multiple languages. It indicates that this is for those aged 8 years and older, and we get loads of information about the Airfix Club on the back here, about the different benefits that you can get. At the moment this video was recorded, I'm not entirely sure the Airfix Club was back up and running, but as you can see, the way that they're pushing this, it indicates to me that it's going to be back up very soon. So let's get inside the box. The instructions come in the usual format you can expect from Airfix, with multilingual information about the actual aircraft with some specifications on the front page. And turning over, this is an A4 booklet with quite a number of pages in it. On this page here we get multilingual assembly instruction information along with the icon key, which will be handy as you go through, so make sure you read that. And then we move on to the actual stages of construction. The one thing I noticed from this in comparison to other Airfix kits I've built is that there's actually more colour in the different stages. So as we progress through building up the cockpit, down here for example, you can see that the areas which are 78 cockpit green have actually been painted on the instructions, 78 cockpit green. 85 satin black is black on the instructions. And as is standard with more of the recent releases from Airfix, the previously constructed steps are indicated by orange. So moving through, there's quite a lot of internal detail to be added for the cockpit. So you get 2 different options here, one for including a workstation or for including these sort of parcels. I'm not sure what they are, maybe parachutes. Moving on down, if you intend to build version A, which is the one with all the antenna and the radio masts, then you'll need to drill out these holes. Positioning the doors open, that's an option as well. And progressing through, you can see that it builds up slightly differently because the fuselage is not one piece, it comes in different sections. The wings come in different sections as well, they're not entirely one piece, they sort of come in about 4 pieces. And the engines seem to be quite well detailed in the sense that there's a lot of like landing gear legs and grills and things. The flaps here on the stages 41 can be cut to depict them in the down position or in the closed position. The bomb bays, there are 2 different options for bombs by the looks of it. But obviously for option A you'll require bombs, option B you won't. And moving on, you can depict the landing gear raised or lowered. Nearly at the end there. So if you intend to build the military version, you'll need to put the turrets in, and they seem to be quite well built. Quite a few details in there as well, but on this step here you need to cut a bit of the glass away. And then coming towards the end now, and 79 steps in this build. So I think this is going to take me quite a while to do this one. You'll notice in that there were no painting instructions because they actually come on a separate A3 sheet. This A3 sheet is glossy and in full colour, and it makes it quite clear what paints are needed where. So the first choice of decal scheme is for a Whitley of 502 Ulster Squadron in Londonderry, Northern Ireland in November 1941. And clearly this aircraft fulfills a naval reconnaissance role. Flipping over the page, we've got an aircraft of British Overseas Aircraft Corporation at Heathrow in 1942. And as you can see, very different in the sense that there's quite a few things missing. The antennas are missing and the turrets are missing. Being a civilianised version, they didn't require these, and it's actually got quite an interesting history which I might go into in my video when I get round to building it. Next, one big sheet of decals. As you can see on there, it's the civilian version which takes up most of the sheet. Top left corner, we've got common ones for the control panels, and there seems to be maps and other things on there as well. This side we've got the military version decals, but there's not a great deal of those. And then here in the centre we've got the big letters for the civilian version. It is worth noting that these are all one decal, so you'll have to take a great deal of care when you're applying these so you don't rip them. They seem to be well reproduced, and I can't see any misprints or errors on this sample. All that remains to be seen is how well they actually apply to the model. So I've had to take my camera off the tripod for this because there are so many sprues. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sprues. 5 of them are moulded in the sort of blue-grey plastic that we can expect from Airfix, and 2 of them down here are moulded in clear plastic for all the different turrets and things. One thing that is worth mentioning from my sample that I received from Airfix is that in the bag here you can see that there are still some pieces. They've fallen off and they seem to actually be broken. But I've done a little bit of an investigation, and this seems to be from the machine guns, and because I'm going to build the civilian version I don't actually need this part, so that's not too big an issue to me. But obviously if you'd received this you'd be a little bit annoyed and probably requesting a spare one. So on this sprue we've got the 2 wing halves, and they are well moulded. There doesn't seem to be any flash present. The mould lines are all recessed. They seem a little bit shallow compared to other Airfix kits, but they do look alright. On this sprue we've got various fuselage halves and also the wing spars and more bits of the underside of the fuselage. On this one here we've got various engine parts, bulkheads, wheels, engine nacelles, bombs. Let's just take a closer look at the bombs there. It's very nicely moulded, those, and some of the machine guns and things. It seems to be very well moulded. There doesn't seem to be any flash really in any places. What I have noticed about this is that it's all nicely spread out on the sprues as well. It's not exactly competing for space. The Airfix have just gone, oh well, you know, we'll just make the box and the sprue as big as we need to. On here the propellers, parts of the landing gear and the tail surfaces. Very nice. And on the smaller sprue here, we've got the extra components for the civilian nose, various parts of the radar antenna, and also more bombs. The clear glass parts look to be very well moulded as well. Only a small bit of flash in places, but the moulded panel lines are quite clear and easy to follow, which will be quite simple to paint. Generally, it looks like it will be a very good kit to build up. I particularly like here on the floor panels the sort of imprint of, you see it sort of raised and bumpy. In this close-up you can see more of the panel details on the top surfaces of the wings. It looks to be very nice. But again, like I said, being quite shallow, you probably might lose them if you're a brush painter like me, so you need to make sure you keep your paints as thin as possible. On this one we've got the wing spars, and they're quite nicely detailed as well. Hopefully this will build up into quite a nice model. So let's get everything put back in the bag. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sprues, which seem to be exceptionally well moulded. And the one piece which is loose in the bag. Make sure you don't lose that. Back in the box. A well-drawn instruction booklet with lots of information and lots of clear steps, nicely printed decals, and a glossy painting and decal information sheet, all contained within a nicely illustrated box. So what do I think of this kit? Well, I think that it actually looks fantastic. Retailing for £37 in the United Kingdom at the time this was made. That seems to be quite a high price, but I think the contents of the kit sort of reflect that. They are very well moulded, the decals look to be really good, the instructions are really clear. The only thing that lets my sample down is the fact that that one part had broken off of the sprue, so if I couldn't repair that, I'd have to request a replacement. But hopefully you've all seen my actual build of this before watching the review of the parts, so you know exactly what it's like when I come around to building it. But what do you think of all the parts in this kit? Do you think it's value for money? Put a comment down below. I look forward to hearing what you think. Also, don't forget that you can suggest other videos or builds you'd like to see on my channel, so feel free to post that too. All that's left to say is thanks for watching, and I'll see you all on the workbench or the kitchen floor again next time.